Scoobtober from Scooby-Doo. Hey, welcome back to Scoobtober on Scooby-Topia. In some of this month-long holiday celebration, I've been watching the last handful of direct-to-video Scooby movies I haven't seen yet to finally finish them off after I stopped watching around the WWE movies for a while. I already have 3 of them out of the way if you haven't seen, so now we're on to the very last one for this month, and it comes right after that previous one, even briefly retaining the slightly different art style somewhat, but thankfully not the one-off style of pacing and editing. Today we're looking at Moon Monster Madness, released on DVD February 17th, 2015, and DVD it was, as this was the first movie since they started releasing them on Blu-ray with Camp Scare 5 years earlier that one of the movies has not gotten a Blu-ray release, which would become the standard after a couple more high-profile ones. I think this one fell under the radar even further because of it, as I didn't even know it came out or existed for years. Nobody talked about it. I've rarely spoken to someone who has seen this movie, outside replies on social media preparing for this. People do not talk about this one. Today, I'm going to find out why, and uncover if this is perhaps a very, very hidden gem, or where it deserves to be. It has a fairly decent cast as well. Jennifer Hale is here, not as Thorne, but a couple of other characters. Mark Hamill is back, and Malcolm McDowell is here, both having also voiced themselves on Guess Who later after this. The film was also originally titled Scooby-Doo and the Space Menace, and I don't think either name is especially amazing, so I'm not sure why it was changed or which is better. Most obviously, the movie takes a lot of inspiration from the Alien franchise, which recently had a new entry in theaters, so I'll try and point out what nods I can. Let's waste no further time than we have to and get on to the movie. We open the movie with Daphne behind the wheel taking her driver's test, which apparently the boys already passed themselves. Not surprised about Scooby. Daph manages to suck worse than him though. We get some pretty creative credits with constellations in space, then our big movie logo, and then right into Clark Sparkman, voiced by Eric Bauza, hosting Celebrity Heat. He tells us Sly Baron, a parody of Richard Branson, has for 3 years wanted to make space tourism a reality, and today a trip around the world has finally become that reality. Going on Sly Star 1, the passengers are A-list celebrities, including Shannon Lucas, sort of based on actual NASA astronaut Shannon Lucid, as well as likely named for George Lucas. Also going are Zip Elvin and Colt Steelcase, parodies of Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong. Last is football star Uvenius Potengo, aka U-Boat. There are 5 seats for 5 normal citizens to come along as well though, which obviously is conveniently the same as the gang. With a dramatic Daphne hair flip, of course somehow they were all chosen by lottery. Love this crazy shot of Fred dumping water on himself. I don't know what's going on, but I love it. And fortunately, the very annoying Clark is also coming. Testing out their suits, one weird thing you can already see is when their helmets are on, the whites of their eyes are suddenly showing, sort of. Unusual and interesting choice in the art style. The gang then meet Shannon, the main role to be voiced by Jennifer Hale. She seems a little bitter the gang are coming since she wasn't told about this until it was announced.
Talk about hat head.
I know, awful.
What? I haven't worn mine yet.
Oh.
Shannon sneakily tries to tell Daph her hair is so good that she shouldn't go, and that shit just flaps everywhere. Jeez, it just gets all up everywhere. Sly Baron appears in a literal suit of money, of course being the one who Malcolm McDowell voices. Fred fangirls himself around the 2 veteran astronauts, Hamill voicing Zip and Jeff Bennett voicing Colt. Velma excitedly asks for their training test scores, and Shannon congratulates Daphne for being the one with the highest score to be a NASA astronaut candidate. Velma is over here having her dreams crushed, while Shannon sassily calls Daphne girlfriend and hypes her up instead. Everyone boards the ship, the boys not nervous at all because they have U-boat fever, being big fans of their football star shipmate. They've been to space even in recent to this canon anyway. Shannon then invites Daph and not Velma to watch liftoff from the bridge, while Fred leaves with the vets as Velma struggles to undo her belt. Alien resistance fighter Wrigley then pops out, also voiced by Hale, and also obviously is named after Ellen Ripley of the Alien films, as well as Ridley Scott, the director of Alien. Clark also joins to be annoying, Velma being stuck between these two instead of living her dream. They hit liftoff, some crazy faces by most everyone involved, and then we meet Slyco's latest post-android marvel, or Ham, voiced by Diedrich Bader, who's a parody of Ash from Alien, though there's more of that to be revealed later that we'll get into. And the name is also a reference to HAL, the killer computer from 1968's 2001: A Space Odyssey. Ridley. Clark helps Velma and asks if she wants to check out the ship, which Ridley volunteers for, while the others enjoy the view from the bridge. The vets go up to make sure things are safe, which Fred excitedly joins, and Daff gets permission to go ahead without Shannon to join, thanking her for making her feel like she belongs, and they share another girlfriend. An obvious alien disappears from the shadowy window as the boys walk by, and Shaggy references Star Trek star William Shatner seeing a gremlin outside his plane in the iconic Twilight Zone episode. Velma's trio hears noises, her companions being torn between it being space junk or aliens out to get them. Ridley even shows video evidence to prove her point, running off to get more. The boys meanwhile have a run-in with Ham, who's very creepy and ominous, but they're interrupted in thought by a banging. Back here, Clark reveals he researched Velma. Then, the banging is actually U-boat walking. He helps them get the snacks and then pieces out. We then get a brief clearer shot of the alien, somewhat resembling a Xenomorph from Alien, destroying part of the ship here. Daphne hears a sound she believes to be outside, while the others assure her it's nothing.
Hold the phone.
The alarms go off, everyone running to see while Sly has Ham paint him like one of his French girls. All at the bridge, they're losing oxygen from something damaging the external tank, which the boys say must have been the alien they just saw, which Ridley is able to bring up on the cameras. Another sound, things are worse as they're almost out of oxygen. Minutes left as everyone freaks out. Sly reveals there's still one safe place, and off to the moon. It turns out he's been building this entire utopia on the dark side of the moon for a decade in secret. Plenty of air here. Everyone can remove their helmets and rest easy. We're then introduced to Hudson, Sly's twin brother voiced by Fred Tatasciore, who made all their robots. Hudson likely being a reference to Marine Private Hudson from Aliens, sequel to Alien. He appears to be a bit kooky, having not seen real people, or dogs, in the whole decade. U-Boat, voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson, finally speaks, saying he doesn't trust robots, which is valid. Hudson seems to have an instant connection with Ridley, love at first sight.
Watch it, Four Eyes.
You wear glasses too.
Whatever.
They bring up finding the alien, but the vets still shrug it off, and Sly excuses himself. Shannon leaves to recalibrate oxygen levels, while Velma stays salty toward Daff, taking advantage of Clark wanting to interview her and storming off with him. The boys take advantage of their driver's licenses and speed around the moon where they presume the alien is not, but while exploring the original landing site, are shadowed by said alien. Honestly, while it's way too close to a Xenomorph to not just be a ripoff, it's still freaky looking as shit. They hit the moon car and barely make it in safely, but it seems they lost it. They run into their idol U-Boat, who assures them he gets scared too, but it can all be in your head and you just have to find something that makes you feel good, like food. For U-Boat though, it's angelic singing. Fred messes around with stuff elsewhere, squirting gel all over Daphne, then freezing himself, and the vets enjoy the silence, so they leave them stuck. Ham trying to make U-Boat like machines doesn't go well, Velma picking up on how much he's against what she refers to as progress, but what he sees as what put his father and so many others out of work. The boys start seeing the alien crawl all over the outside unfortunately, but do find food heaven, so it's all good now. Until it's not, because the alien is here. Free again, Fred already is annoying the vets further, where they find something coming from the vents. The vets saying it's condensation while Daphne considers it alien juice. Having escaped, the boys tell them about the alien again, which doesn't appear, but Fred and Daff know something had to have been there if the boys didn't finish eating. Everyone looks at the room clearly destroyed, but the vets doubt the boys as valid witnesses. Sly returns, Velma suspicious of his convenient absence. He reveals the satellite is out and their communication with Earth is gone. Clark also sneaks in some more flirting with Velma, but her gay little heart is not open to his advances. Velma notes Sly's love for a spectacle as seen with him showing off his new boots, continuing to suspect him to be behind the alien. While he says he wished he had done it, he realizes an alien in captivity would be an even better publicity stunt, making Ridley and the vets fight about it existing, so Shannon recommends they all get some rest. Reliable Velma still argues there's no alien though, while Daphne says they all saw it, so Velma nastily hits back in her jealousy.
Are you still mad at me because I scored higher than you on the test? And have better hair?
Fred decides they have to all catch it as a team, which catches the ears of Ridley, so they get to work on a trap. We then go into a pretty cute and very different art style that's really fun to watch bounce around as the gang explain their ideas of what an alien invasion and rebellion scenario might be like, which is much like the episode The Story Stick from A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, where they did the same thing discussing an alien. Seeing them all together in Scoobies is really neat. Ridley gets tired of it and leaves though, and the lights begin to flicker, so everyone gets in place. The alien spotted on camera, Velma says the tests must be flawed with Daphne doing better better than her, and Daphne is understandably hurt, asking if she can't accept that she's more than pretty. Velma admits to her insecurity that Daphne gets it all, the looks, the brain, the dream, which leaves Velma with nothing. The artificial gravity suddenly goes out, and as the boys enjoy swimming in their snack, out pops the alien. They start leading it over to the trap, the girl's ready, but the first trap doesn't work, so Fred takes over, covering it with gel, just in time for the gravity to return. Before it can eat Scooby, Fred then freezes it, most of the others showing up shocked to see the alien be real. But Velma isn't so sure, opening it up to reveal Shannon to be inside the alien robot. Basically, being an astronaut, she already knew everything needed to make all of this and pull off the alien's various powers, as well as how to mask her whereabouts so nobody would catch on. Plus, she already knew everything so well, including entrances and hiding spots. Of course, she's upset that she's an expert while a bunch of nobodies were allowed to come to space without having put their life's effort into this like her. She wanted to sabotage things to make the regular world see space travel as dangerous, only meant for experts like her. The two vets would help make this seem credible if they witnessed the alien. Plus, a beloved superstar like U-Boat, or Ridley who would confirm aliens without a doubt. Plus, Clark, a popular TV host who loves a good sensational story and can give big exposure. Shannon tried so hard to convince them not to come from the start, knowing their reputation for solving such mysteries. Which truly was obvious, this has to be one of the most clear villains in one of these movies. She even switched the scores, hoping the fight would break up the team. It wasn't Daphne with the highest score, it was Shaggy. Having to come up with a new plan to leave them here so they wouldn't ruin her plans. She took out the satellite, and she's still confident in getting away with it too. She locks them all in and reveals that she planted thermal charges everywhere, which is why the alien was crawling all over outside. Returning a hero! She laughs with one last thermal charge set and flies off in their ship. Hudson says they still have one more though, an exact replica he built in his loneliness so he could leave eventually, but couldn't leave his brother behind, and the twins share a moment finally. The explosives start, and they get trapped in. And to make matters worse, Velma starts berating Daphne for being chummy with Shannon even more now. This frustrates Ham so much that Velma catches on that he's not really a robot, he's a human actor, which is similar to the reveal of Ash from Alien, just the inverse. Good news is what trapped them in are delicious snacks, so the boys get to work, but with everything out of the way, one of the robots has been reworked to attack, and U-Boat stays behind to hold it back while the others get on the ship. While the cranky old vets complain about being too old, Fred tells them how amazing and inspirational they are to so many, and finally they take to him. As U-Boat is about to go down, the boys return, Shaggy looking just like Ellen Ripley herself using the power loader suit to fight the Xenomorph Queen in Aliens. But that's one reference that nobody needs me to point out, obviously. Everyone that could possibly fly the ship inside, meanwhile, gets stupidly, conveniently knocked out, but at least the robot is taken out, so the other three join the rest. Then they get knocked out, and Ham, and Ridley. Velma says there's still someone who can do it, but Daphne points out the scores were switched and she couldn't even drive the van earlier. But Velma says she's the only one who saw Shannon fly on the bridge, knowing more than anyone. So even if the scores were fake, it's just a piece of paper anyway, and she believes in her. They fly off as the others regain consciousness, watching the whole place blow up below them. Velma even accepts Clark's hand for safety, and the vets appreciate Fred. On Earth, Shannon tells her sub-story of her friends being lost to the danger of space, just in time for the others to make a dramatic entrance, Fred tossing the tapes to show what really happened, her confession and all. So instead, Velma encourages the curiosity and space of others, and the coppers take Shannon away. U-Boat gives the boys a hug, and the girls have a proper apology moment, Daphne even having the press focus on Velma and not just herself. Hudson shares space is pretty big when Ridley is broken about the alien being fake, and she imagines him to probably feel the same, having been up there so long. But he might even like going back if he had someone with him to see what they could find. Later, the gang tries to help Daphne learn to drive one more time. And that's Moon Monster Madness. And you know what? Maybe it's harsh, but of the 4 movies I had to watch for Scoobtober and complete the last 2 films I hadn't seen yet, this is my least favorite. This isn't one of the worst Scooby movies though. It's very much fine and you should check it out if you got this far and haven't seen it still. But even so, it's in the middle when it comes to all of the movies ever made when ranked for me. I enjoyed myself more with Curse of the Speed Demon the more I sit with it. I think I can say I didn't miss any new personal favorites when not checking these out for a decade. The comedy, while a different brand from the at times overly annoying comedy of the last one, often doesn't land and is just kind of awkward, which is just the case for a lot of this one for me. It's just not the humor of the original, and it's not strong enough to hold its own, whatever they're trying here. A chuckle here or there, for me, doesn't save it. The concept could have been so much more interesting if executed differently. Like I said, even Shannon as the villain is way too obvious. You know it's her from the moment she tells them not to go for no reason and is clearly faking her niceties. There's basically no reason to try and make us think U-Boat or anyone else has something to do with this. And on that, there's a decent message with U-Boat and his feelings about his father being replaced by machines. Something that's a very real fear and concern for many people in certain jobs, especially these days even more with AI. The movie never actually goes into or validates this and just uses it as a red herring that obviously isn't going to come to fruition. Ham being an actor is also kind of pointless outside of being a reference. It doesn't have any of the impact that Ash's reveal that it's mimicking has. There's a lot of reference for reference sake in this without meaning. The vets just bullying Fred also got on my nerves. I didn't like any scenes with them or how Fred was treated in this one really. I love some himbo Fred, but this one just doesn't do it for me. There are of course positives to be seen despite all that. The animation is still on par with the visual sister film Franken-Creepy before it. Everything here looks as good and solid as you would expect it to, just as that one. The acting is also solid as usual. Jennifer Hale doing what she can with Shannon and Ridley, though it's distracting that she's obviously both of them. The heart of the movie obviously is the friendship of Daphne and Velma, much like in Curse of the Speed Demon. A lot of their fights still come off as forced and have me feeling annoyed, but their feelings do still make logical sense, and their honest conversations with each other are good. If you're invested enough, you might even find it emotional. The alien is a little too obviously a ripoff of the Xenomorph, but hey, it's still scary, so it's still a pretty solid monster design, and even if the references are just for the sake of it, I do like the idea. Kids would probably not understand how much Alien is all over this, because kids should not be watching those movies, but Scooby in a movie with Xenomorphs is solid as an idea, and the references are still pretty fun anyway if you're a fan of them. Also, this movie randomly does have a bonus feature on the DVD. Here we get a 12-minute featurette titled Space Travel is Groovy. Not about the movie, but about, well, space. What's cool is it's hosted by the amazing Mindy Cohn herself, voice of Velma, who I've been singing the praises of and missing all season long.
Think, Mindy, think, what would Velma do? Aha! Let's call my friends at the world-famous Space Camp. They'll know what to do. Calling Space Camp. Come in, Space Camp. Over.
Hi, Mindy. I'm Bumblebee.
She talks with many people involved in actual space-related things at the famous space camp in Huntsville, Alabama, to hopefully get kids excited about and interested in exploring space someday. Kind of cutesy and not my idea of bonus features. I want those making of featurettes, but it's better than nothing. This is already one of the rare modern movies that doesn't even have any bonus episodes as an extra, though I prefer they not have those, especially on the DVD-only ones where it takes away from the actual visual quality. Also, not really a bonus feature, the DVD also has this super weird glow-in-the-dark sticker decal for your room's light switch. It's just a bunch of random stars and moons and planets and the logo of the movie. I don't know why they included this. Again, I'm kind of short on things to really talk about this one. I'm not a fan, it turns out. So I guess that's all she wrote for this video's dedicated movie talk. What about you though? What do you think of Moon Monster Madness? Is this one an underrated fun flick? Or would you rather this one stay buried? Let me know your own thoughts if you want. As for me, I'm happy to have finally seen all of the Scooby DTV movies at last with this and be done with the movies to cover for this event. Well, almost all of them. I've still yet to see the Crypto movie out of spite after my little Warner feud. If you know, you know. Still bought it and supported it though. Scoobtober isn't over yet, however. There's still more Scooby Joy to come, so subscribe so you don't miss out on the rest of this limited event and return to the channel. Like the video if you liked it, follow the Tumblr or TikTok if you're not watching there already, etc. Stay tuned for more Scoobtober. Bye!
It's an alien. Like me, Shaggy, him, Scooby.
And me embarrassed.